A Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate production. Samut-Sari Conversation with Mimi, to connect with other women who may need someone to talk to around everyday's life issues and challenges, from managing career and household to inner productivity, relationships, and other hot topics. Samut-Sari Conversation with Mimi.
Hello and welcome to Samut-Sari Conversations with Mimi, a podcast featuring hot topics and other topics of interest for both men and women alike. And we also feature guests who share their passion and commitment to the profession or talents. So my name is Mimi, your host for today. And here at Samut-Sari, we share stories to inspire you, stories from ordinary people who make extraordinary things. And in today's episode, I'm so excited. We have a guest from Winnipeg, all over the other side of the world. And her name is Donna Natividad Arenas. Hi, Donna. Welcome and greet the audience, the viewers.
Yes, hello Mimi. Good evening or good day. Kasi iba-iba tayo ng time. And thanks for having me.
Yes, I'm so thankful. I'm the one who says thank you to you for giving me time, because I know it was a bit tricky organizing our session for today, our conversation, because of the time difference. I'm on the other side of the world, down under, and you are over the flip side. Manitoba is so far.
Yes,
I think you're so far from everyone else where you are.
Well, actually, it's around 8 p.m. Tonight dito. So medyo outdoor. As you say, it's still maliwanag pa. Because if it's summertime, usually the sun sets here at around 9 p.m. Would you believe? Kaya ngayon medyo magpo-fall na. We still have a little bit of daylight.
Yeah. So we are different because you're starting to move into fall. We've just started spring. So we've just finished our winter season. Wow. And now the sun is slowly coming up, and there are occasional spring showers. So we're moving our way towards the last few months coming into summer in December. So in your case, you will be white as snow and as cold as Antarctica come this December, I think. Donna, I'd like to introduce you formally to our viewers today, because they might be asking me, why did I invite you as a guest? So Donna is married with 2 kids, and I knew that those kids were really little when you started sharing what they're doing on Facebook. But now you can tell, later on you will tell me a little bit about how old they are and what they've been up to. And Donna is a radio announcer in a Filipino morning show in a multilingual radio station in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. 16 years in Canada. Previously part of the investigative shows in the Philippines. Also, she's into community organizing. Oh, our passion, Donna, community organizing. And she's also experienced as a part-time voice dubber in ABS-CBN at the height of the Mexican soap series or telenovelas in the early 2000s. So I can say that, Donna, you have followed through your passion and career in communication and broadcasting. You've taken that to the next level as you brought your skills to Canada. So I don't know where to start. I want to ask you a lot of questions, but maybe let's start with you deciding to move to Canada 16 years ago. Mm-hmm. So can you give our audience or our viewers a little bit of a short history as to what was the impetus or what was the reason why you decided to leave your homeland and move to another country and settle there for good?
Yeah, it was actually 2004, Mimi. I was actually working in a media company in an investigative TV program. And, when you're growing old, and then you learn that Canada is opening its doors to immigrants. So parang, it's not more of, I wanted greener pastures Hindi pa yun But it was maybe because I wanted to do some adventure. Parang ganon. I wanted try in other land. Kasi alam mo naman, if you're a graduate of state university, pareho tayong UPLB, parang ang mindset mo, parang it's a little bit awkward na lumabas ka ng bansa. Like, it wasn't really my plan to go out of the Philippines because I've always wanted to, maging part tayo ng pag-serve sa people, sabi nga. But then, there's this part of your life na parang siguro you have accomplished something na, and at least you've done a little bit of contribution to your community na, neighborhood. So I decided to go to Canada, to try it here. And then I was just so blessed because when I tried to do my application, my tatay wasn't actually supportive of the idea of me leaving. Kasi nga naman, alam mo naman tayo, ayaw nila nung parang I was by myself then. Like, ako lang mag-isa, I was still single. So hinanap niya yung cousin ko who happened to be in Winnipeg. So ayun, so I started it all. So I was interested in applying, and it was just so blessed because when I came in here, they have a multilingual radio station, which actually I already researched about. I actually inquired about the station before I even stepped foot in Winnipeg. But then they were telling me, "Oh, you just inquire when you come here." So, kunyari, I arrived Friday. So Monday, I asked my cousin to take me to the radio station, and I told him, I already submitted my resume, but then they told me to just come in person. So right there and then, Mimi, believe it or not, they were looking for a female radio announcer because the previous announcer just left like a few months before, and they've been looking for someone. So it was really providential. Like, I was in the right time at the right place. So everything happened so fast.
Yeah.
So it all started my career in radio. So, alam mo naman, because Mimi and I were together po in broadcasting. Alam mo naman, we shared the same interest. And I was so blessed because this is the only work I know in my life. Kasi after graduation, I was into, gusto ko mga ganun talagang klaseng work, or although I was also involved in community organizing. This is something that I never get tired of doing. Alam mo
Of
yun,
course.
yung parang,
If it's a passion of yours.
it's not about money, right?
Yeah. So,
yeah,
Donna,
so parang ganon.
yeah, I want you to explain to our viewers the actual show that you handle right now. What kind of a program is it, and how does it help the community? What was the focus of the program?
So the show is called Good Morning Philippines. It is the daily show. Monday, I actually wake up at 4 in the morning because the show starts at 5:30. So it's from 5:30 to 9. And it's actually a variety show, mostly news, current events. So we also tackle news, not only from the Philippines, but also around the world. So we're updated sa mga current events. Of course, variety, so it has entertainment. But the best thing about it is, alam mo kasi Winnipeg has a very large Filipino community. So parang the radio program serves as a binding thing that unites people. So a lot of people listen to it. Like, Winnipeg is home to around 70,000 Filipinos. Ang dami, no? So I would say, siguro as years go by, pwedeng nababawasan, pwedeng nadadagdagan yung listeners. But then the thing is, nag-a-adapt din siya. So now we're also streaming live around the world. Like before, they were telling us na it's very hard to get news from the Philippines kasi alam mo na, backward pa yung technology. And CKJS 810 Radio has been around for 40 years.
Wow.
Like 4 decades.
So you're almost there for a significant amount of time with the station now. Yeah, you've grown with the station, kumbaga, di ba? So you can consider yourself,
and every day.
Yeah, go ahead, Donna.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that every day is a learning experience for me. Like I wouldn't say that I'm really like an expert, pero kasi nag-evolve din naman yung mga listeners. Alam mo na, nag-iiba rin yung mga tao. Sometimes they like this, nagbabago rin. And some of our listeners before namatay na rin. Alam mo yon. So you always have to adapt because it's not always positive. Like, I gain a lot of friends, I love having a lot of friends, meeting a lot of people who eventually naging parang family ko na rin. But then, it's not always fun. Sometimes you also have critiques, diba? Yung ganon. But then, you just learn to accept it, and this is something that is really worth waking up to. Parang,
Yes.
you know, although nakakapagod, but then, yeah, it's the reward is every time you hear people say, "Oh, we're listening to you, and we learn a lot of things from the program." Siguro yun.
Yes, yes. So I think, Donna, this is quite interesting because I pivoted my career after, uni when we finished. Yeah, for a time I was in radio also doing broadcast work, and then I decided to pursue postgraduate studies, and I was full-time teaching, and then my family decided to migrate, so I had to pivot my career again. I went into a totally different job, and now I moved to another country. I'm now in another job, so it's only now that I'm thinking.
But now you're doing podcast.
Yes,
and you're even more high-tech than me.
So I'm trying to kind of go back to my roots, of communicating. So I found this as a very the timing of an opportunity to be able to go back, because obviously it's very difficult for me to be like you, associated with a bigger network, with a set kind of like an audience or geographical area where you can really cater to the needs, information needs and entertainment needs of the community that you serve. So let's go back to your role, because sometimes on Facebook, because we're Facebook friends as well, I see that you also host local events, that you get to meet celebrities when they go to your area. So you consider yourself a local celebrity as well. So I want to know how you think you are influencing the community to really promote the Filipino culture, the Filipino spirit, or do you ever think that there's an inner tension, because you want to obviously assimilate into the new culture, and then you're still insisting on your the values and the things that you hold dear to you based on your cultural background. How is it like navigating that tension, moving between I'm a Canadian now, and I work for a Filipino multicultural group?
Yeah. I believe it's blending, merging both worlds, because we have the best of both worlds. I always say that. And Mimi, by the way, before I answer that, gusto ko lang sabihin, you're doing good.
So what am I doing?
Ikaw pa rin yan. I've always believed in you, and it's always in you, and it will never be hindi mawawala sa'yo. So anyway, that's the best thing about being in this job, Mimi, because ever since no pagdating ko dito, I've always wanted my voice to be an instrument, to be yung para bang, I think this is my mission in this world. Like, at the same time, this is my passion to talk, but being able to be part of a community that is like, parang here in Canada kasi, I don't know if it's the same in the US or in Australia or in other parts of the world, but the most important thing here is they accept and value multiculturalism. So alam mo yan, in terms of promoting culture, heritage, we have a lot of activities that promote our culture and tradition, and that is something that we're very proud of. Although I know in other Filipino communities in other countries like Australia and US, they also have that. But siguro it's because Canada is also like they give funds. Alam mo yon, pinopondohan pa nila yung mga
That's right.
mga ganung activities, di ba? So we also have a lot of cultural activities here na wherein we can show off our tradition and culture. And so it's something that I really like, kasi alam mo na, I always set my mind, and I always want myself to be involved with those things. Na parang kahit umalis ako, I don't want to leave that, and that's something that I want to pass on to my children.
That's right.
And if I can influence other people just merely by reminding you that kahit nasa ibang bansa tayo, kahit magkulay tayo ng hair, Pinoy pa rin tayo, and it's something to be proud of.
Yeah. I was also watching some videos where in a remote island somewhere in Eastern Europe, there's still a good solid Filipino group in that area. So wherever you go around the world, there will always be that Filipino spirit thriving alive in that particular area. Yeah. So Donna, let's go back to your to your personal life, because I mentioned earlier this is a mix of getting to know you, your profession, what you really love about, and of course family is one of them. You went to Canada as a single person, so I would assume that you met your husband there, who is also a Filipino, and then because you did not have a family in the Philippines, I don't think you had the opportunity to experience life with yayas, life with extra help around the house, and then you have to bring up your children with your husband on your own there. So what was it like juggling your time as a mom with younger children and your profession without any extra support that should have been available if you had been in the Philippines? So how was it like for you adjusting to that kind of life?
Yeah. Well, actually, Mimi, to be honest with you, to raise a family, to have kids in a foreign land, like maybe it was your experience also, having small kids and then finding the right daycare for them is always a struggle, right? So what I did, we're lucky also that we're able to sometimes, invite our moms, like my husband's mom or my mom, for the span of maybe 15 years, they've been in and out of Canada helping us take care of our children.
That's
Unfortunately,
right.
my mom is now permanent resident also. Although kasi medyo mahirap na, so we're still working on my mom-in-law. But the thing is, hindi rin naman ako na used to kasi sa Philippines with a lot of help. Kasi alam mo naman, simple lang din naman yung buhay namin. And I always learned how to be independent. But the thing is, it's totally different when you raise your own family from sa ibang bansa because you don't have relatives, you don't have mga titos and titas pag wala mag-aalaga, di ba? But then, the thing is, it's actually, my husband's actually my boyfriend before I left pa.
I see. So there's a connection.
Yeah,
there's a connection. Yeah.
Yeah, so 5 years and then I went back, we got married and then, so we started a family here and every day is a working process, learning process. And we married late, so maybe your kids are already have already graduated, and my kids are still in elementary. Parang ganon.
So how's your parenting style, Donna? Are you Canadian in style or are you Filipino in style? How do you raise your kids? Because Ate is already a twin, she's already going to the teen bracket. Yeah. So how are you going to manage that?
So I have 2 kids. Yung isa, 12, panganay, girl, and then 9-year-old boy. And my daughter's always telling me, Mom, this is Canada. This is not Philippines. Because, of course, they always use the word po and opo. They always bless. We want them to always maintain that. But in some cases, like my husband and I are also talking about things like, bakit parang masyadong advanced, like in terms of, the way they communicate with their parents as compared to how we were when we were their age. It's totally different. Like the other day, my daughter was telling me, Mom, you have a lot of time in the afternoon. What if you get another job? So you can finance yourself if you want to go shop more. And I was asking her, what? You're telling me to work, get another job? And then she told me, what if something happens to Dad? I told her, don't worry, that your dad has insurance. And then she told me, Mom, you can't depend on insurance for life. Those things, I didn't know about insurance until maybe I was in college or maybe I was in here.
That's
Alam mo yun? Iba sila makipag-usap, di ba?
Totally. They're different now. They're different now. It's no longer a conversation, Donna. It's more about negotiation now. And I think children are aware that they have bigger voices now, that they have more rights now, that they are free to share or voice out their opinions.
Yeah, and we're the kind of parents that acknowledge that. We want that. We want them to speak up. We want them to voice out their feelings, especially sa mga panahon ngayon when there's a lot of things happening sa mga kabataan na the depression thing is real, right? So as much as possible, we want to be involved in any way possible sa buhay nila, to the point nga na kumisa sobrang nakikialam ka na, but then wala namang gagawa sa kanila na. And we always explain to them, we love you, that's why we're doing it to you. And I'm more of a parent rather than a friend. Mimi, well, we can be friends. I do TikTok with you, we dance together, we hang out together, we bike together, pero I don't care kahit magalit ka sa akin. Basta as a parent, I will do my job. I will say things to you. And with regards to Filipino values, as much as possible, syempre, gusto namin yung to grow, like appreciating their roots, and alam mo yan, yung parang realizing that this is another country for us, this is another home, and we have another home back home, parang ganon.
Yeah. So really, it's parenting is more challenging nowadays than before, because before natuto tayo na sumunod sa magulang. Ngayon sumunod sa anak minsan, because sometimes they make sense, and sometimes you realize that there's a different viewpoint that you have to accept, or that you have to know about or learn about. So Donna, you mentioned that your work is early in the morning, and then you would have to be home at around midday. So what is the rest of your day looking like? Do you also are you busy with some other community work, or it's just to work around the house? Because you are quite different from the other moms that I have interviewed. Some of them do juggle everything during the day, but because of your job, it's quite different. Your schedule.
I always take time to take a nap, because I need that. I'm getting old. I need to get some energy. But also sometimes I find time to volunteer. Like before, I used to help out in the lunch program when my kids were smaller. But actually they paid me, but those things. And then sometimes I bike, I shop, biglang ganon. Linis the house. Ano pa ba? I don't know. I'm so busy. I don't stay in the house. Pero before, I used to have a part-time job also working in a call center, but when my kids were smaller, you have to pick them up at a certain time. So medyo broke yung hours eh. So also maybe you've seen my mom and I, who happens to be here with us now. Sometimes we do the TikTok, right?
I really envy you and your mom. I really, really envy you and your mom. You're so talented. I'm your TikTok fan.
No,
I don't know how your mom gets the energy to do that and to keep up with you, Donna. But hands down, I can't do what you're doing. Donna, going towards the last part of our show today, I wanted to share with you a little letter, because sometimes you remember during the olden times that we used to work together. I collect stories for the dramas that we create, and I've saved some of this. And luckily, because of email, I'm still able to access emails of old time ago. So some of them are fairly new, some of them are not so new. So sometimes I inject it in this podcast because these people can learn a little thing or two from our experience. And this is about a person who is from Calamba, Laguna, who wants to be an OFW. He only finished high school, 26 years old. They live in a typical farm in Laguna, and he wants to go abroad, and he has taken some courses in TESDA. He wants to know what's the process like in your place, for example, in Winnipeg, in Manitoba. Can you give some advice on the types of jobs that are available there right now? I know it's COVID, but just in case the restrictions are lifted and they can start their application, what are some of the jobs that are available, and are there any opportunities for Filipinos to still become an OFW, at least in your area?
Yeah. Alam mo, Mimi, Canada kasi is open to immigration, and we're still lucky kasi ganun pa rin naman yung sistema sa gitna ng COVID, although hopefully pag wala na yung COVID, bumalik sa normal. I always say, every time friends back home ask me, pwede ba akong pumunta sa Canada? You know, it's a very welcoming country, I would say. It just depends on the person. And if I would give an advice to someone, especially to people who are young, the first thing that they should do is they should have that passion and interest na from themselves. Kasi it's so hard to depend on anyone, right? Like for me, I applied here, like, yeah, I have a cousin, but it's actually you who should work. So the very first thing that you should do is research.
Yeah.
Check the website, the immigration website. There's a lot of streams that they can use and check kung saan sila pwede mag-apply. So here in Manitoba, if that guy or person who's interested to come here has relatives or friends, there's this stream called family stream where you can ask them to give you support paper. Just support paper, so they can vouch that when you come here, you have relatives to stay. It's very important kasi ayaw ng government that when you come here, you'll be dependent on them. So very important sa kanila yon. That's why they have a stream like that. They also have the employment stream where you find employers, something like that. And fortunately in Canada, it's not usually OFW na parang gano'n na apply mo as temporary workers eh. Kasi you can already apply as permanent residents. Like pag punta mo rito, immigrant ka na, permanent resident. But the thing is, you have to study which one of those streams apply to you. So in my case, I came to Canada. They have this family stream under the nominee program. So what I did, I asked my cousin to give me a support paper. So he just signed, and then I did everything. And then of course, when you apply for papers like that, for visa and everything, you need to be prepared. You have to save. Like if you have a dream to go abroad, kailangan ngayon pala nag-iipon ka na. Kasi it's not a joke. It's a lot of money. You cannot depend lang sa kapitbahay mo, relatives mo na nasa ibang bansa to help you out. You have to work it for yourself, di ba?
So yun. Yeah.
And yun, primarily, sa 16 years ko na rito, there's a lot of friends, relatives, nephews, nieces who have already, na parang napapagod na rin ako magkwento sa kanila paano yung procedure. And there's not much talagang nagpatuloy. Kasi nag-give up sila eh. So if you really want to do it, you have to pursue it. At ikaw lang makakagawa niya sa sarili mo.
Yeah.
Ang
ganda. I really like your advice, Donna. Kasi it's hard. It's hard. People like the idea of moving overseas. But when they realize what amount of time, effort, and financial resources are required to make that happen, na-shock na sila. And it's the same with me. I went to New Zealand and now I live in Australia. People are asking me, what's the process? How did you do it? So ako naman, it's hard to teach somebody who can't see beyond their filters. So no matter what I say to them, unless na they start the process by looking at the computer and studying it themselves, ang hirap talaga yung explain. So I really understand what you are trying to say. So medyo relate much ako dyan. I can really relate to that. Donna, I can see that your background is starting to change now.
Yeah, so siguro around anong time na ba? The sun sets now around 8:20, and believe it or not, sometimes 10 p.m. naka-shades pa kami pag summer.
Diba? Pero ang ganda, nag-shift na yung background mo. I can already see some of your lights, emphasizing the beauty of your flowers, and then you have now your house lights on, but you still look radiant. So I think, Donna, it's time for me to really, the podcast won't be on and on and on and on. I wish I could do it again. I hope you don't mind if I invite you again for another topic or a part 2. But I need to end the show now, Donna. So I would like to really thank you very much for being with me. And it's nice to talk about your experience there in Canada. So you are one of those who can really prove that with your tiyaga, with your resilience, with your determination, and with your passion, you can make it anywhere. It doesn't have to stop where you were before, but you can move mountains and you can go thousands of miles to be in another country. So again, thank you, Donna. Do you have any last words to say to our viewers today?
Well, first of all, to you, Mimi, I just want to say thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk to your viewers and to your millions of viewers. So, diba?
In the future.
Really, diba? In the future, yes, yun ang goal. And I've always missed you, and you're one person I really look up to.
Mutual admiration.
Diba? So, gusto ko lang sabihin, I'm not really yung tipong kakaiba. I just may mga ano rin tayo, may mga weaknesses, lahat tayo iba-iba. Everybody is unique. Yeah, I always tell my children, you have to find that passion, something that you really love to do. Kasi hindi ka mapapagod gawin yun eh. Like, even in the workplace, kahit ordinaryong pagwawalis lang ang ginagawa mo, but if you are the best sweeper and you do your best, you do your function to be the best sweeper o kahit ano pang field of work, and you're happy to do it, and you feel na, alam mo yung parang may dignity yung dun sa ginagawa mo, I think that's when you can say that you're really a successful person.
Yeah, wow, very inspiring words, Donna, and thank you for that. I hope that our younger viewers will take heed and keep that in mind for their future plans. So thank you again, Donna, and for the rest of our viewers, if you have any stories or topics that you wish to feature in the show, please reach out to me via my email, mimi@dinosaurshop.com. Samutsari is a member of the Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate, so you can also reach out to the Dinosocial Facebook page or to my Twitter account. Don't forget to like, subscribe to all the Guerrilla Podcast shows, and obviously to Samutsari Conversations with Mimi. So I am on YouTube, so you can easily reach out to me. So Donna, thank you so much. And make sure that if you are streaming, maybe Donna's website or her radio show is available in the internet, and Samutsari shows naman are available through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and all the other streaming services. Thank you, Donna. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you soon in the next edition of Samutsari. Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you're notified when a new episode is posted in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or via RSS. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, rate and review this podcast and share it with your friends. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And if you want to know more, check out www.guerrillapodcast.com.au or guerrillapodcast.com.ph. A Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate production.